All right, let's talk about importing and exporting contact records into the platform. Now, maybe you have a current customer list that you want to bring into the platform and upload that and be able to send out some marketing. Or maybe, you've got some leads that you've generated from your funnels and websites and you want to export that information to maybe send out a direct mail campaign or do something else with the data. That's what we're going to discuss in this video. Now, first things first, we got to bring up the CRM section, and you'll notice to the left here, we've got a little tab that says contacts. So we'll click that, and it's going to bring up our CRM section of the platform. And what we want to do is we want to look for this button right here that says import contacts. And as you can see, it's right there, right on the top of the menu options. We'll select that, and it's going to bring up a sub menu. Now, before we upload, we want to make sure that our file that we're uploading is actually ready to be uploaded. The reason for this is that it can only read certain files, and it also can only read up to a certain size, 50 megabytes. So you may want to do some work on your file. I'm going to walk you through how to do that. But you want to make sure to kind of notice that, hey, the file that I'm uploading is not just an Excel file, it's going to fail. You want to have a CSV file instead. And also you want to make sure that it's, not over 50 megabytes because it's not going to upload. So you may need to look at your file if it's got, a really big list on it and segment that out a little bit before uploading. Okay. So the first thing we got to do is we got to have a file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up Excel where I have got a little file that I created that has some contact information in here. Now, one thing to note, before you import a file, you want to arrange the data in a way that's easily to be read. So notice how I've got first name with all the first names in there. I've got last name with all the last names in there. I've got a phone number, an email. You may have some additional fields, but what you want to do is to make sure they're all in columns and they're all titled correctly to where the system can actually read it. Because when we import this file, the file system is going to try to match up those titles that you give it, and you just want to make it easy on yourself and the system to recognize that data. Now, once you've got that ready to go, you've got your file looking good here. What you want to do is export this as a CSV. So on a Mac, I'm going to do File, Save As, and it's going to bring up a sub menu here where we can change the file format. Most likely it defaulted to Excel Workbook. It can't read this file. You've got to send it off as a CSV. So you want to change the file format to CSV or Common Delimited, and then click Save. And once you do that, it's going to export your Excel file into a CSV file that can easily be imported. So we're going to minimize this for a second and jump back over to the CRM, and we're going to click Upload a File, and we're going to find our file in your computer, and you'll notice that it shows the file name right here, that it's ready to be imported. So we're going to click this Next button, and what it's going to do is it's going to read the file and try to match up those headers that we titled earlier. So we actually titled these pretty well. It exactly matched them up exactly how we want it. But what you want to do is scroll through this and make sure that the headers that you uploaded are actually matching the data in the system. These drop-down menus right here, this is where the data is going to show up in the CRM. So you want to make sure to match up that information to where it's perfectly correct and going to be able to import. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Next once we're finished with that. And we've got a couple of options here. You can actually create smart lists from this. So for example, let's say you want to upload a list of past customers. So maybe what you do is you type in past customers as your import name and you click create a list. Well, it will actually save a list up here that you can tap into and click and easily get those lists of records there to where you can just message those people if you want. If you want to have a list like that, just be sure to title it like that and it'll save it up here for you to tap into. Now there's some other advanced options that we've got that we can use to maximize our imports and make sure that we can do some things in bulk. So as you can see, we've got a couple of options. What do you want to do with the contacts in the CSV file? Well, we can either add new and update existing contact records. What this is going to do is it's going to look at the file and find anybody that's not in the CRM, and it's going to import those people and update any other records that we have. So for example, if we already have a person in the CRM that has that email or phone number, we can just update that record with any additional information in your file. We can also just add new contact records. Or we can just update existing contact records. So this is a really good one to do if you're just trying to refresh your data. Maybe you've generated some customers offline or something and you want to update those people into your system. And so what you can do in this section here is you can skip existing contacts based on a couple of things like email or phone number if you want to do that. So you can kind of select that to skip to make sure that, if we're doing like add new contact records, we want to skip people based on phone or email if you want to select that. So in our case, what we're going to do is we're just going to add new contact records because we don't have them in the system here. Then we're going to scroll down. There's a couple of other options here. The first one is tags. Tags are little identifiable information that you can use when you're searching through the CRM. So for example, let's say you've got a list that you're uploading and it's from a specific region. Maybe your sales team, you're uploading a list that is all the customers you want to go after in Kentucky. So maybe you tag that list with Kentucky. So when someone goes in the CRM, they can use the search field and type in Kentucky and it pull up all those records. So you can get really creative with these tags. They're very, very helpful to, segment people along the way. You just got to kind of think about what tags would be relevant to the list that you're uploading. And then you can use those key terms to segment people out and find which ones that you want. Now, the next section we have here is add to workflow or campaign. If you already have a campaign or workflow set up, when you import leads, you can actually go ahead and add them to a campaign, rather than just selecting them from a list or, individually in the CRM. You can go ahead and just send everybody into a campaign if you want. So if you want to do that, you'll click this little toggle there and it'll allow you to select what campaigns you already have set up. In our case, we're not going to do that. We're going to leave that there. Then the last option here, you've got validate emails. What this is going to do is to check all the email addresses, all the records, make sure that they are accurate emails that can be emailed to. That way you're not hurting your deliverability rate by sending to emails that are bouncing and things like that. Now, please note, if you validate emails, it is going to, may include additional charges for Mailgun. All right. So once we've got all of our settings correct here, what we're going to do is we're going to click submit, and that's going to start processing the file. So what it'll do is it'll go through, import all that, title it correctly, and pop that information into the CRM. Now, if you want to wait and kind of view the progress, you can click there to see that, and it will go through and show you all of that. Now, once we're ready to go, you can go through and see them in your CRM. So we'll click back over to contacts. And as you can see here, our records are now imported. All right. So now we've got them in the system. We can use this information. We can start reaching out to them. So let's say now we want to export information. How do we get it out of the CRM? Well, what you want to do is you want to select the records you want to export. So you can click this little icon right here to select them. You can also do a search and find all the people you want, then click select all, and then click this little handy export contacts button. When you click that, it's going to show you how many contacts we're exporting, and you just click export contacts. And what that's going to do is that will download a file right here to where it will allow you to export the data. So that's how you import and export the data. I hope this helped, and we'll see you in the next video.